Hello guys, what's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to Geek from Ghana. And before we even get into today's tutorial, in case you haven't subscribed, you haven't liked, you haven't clicked on the notification bell, please do so, and also follow me on my socials. Let's get interactive and see what would you want us to do, what would you want us to treat. We'll get right to it. But today we're actually going to be doing our Flutter series. Okay, now this series is called Flutter Hacks, and in this series I am given the Flutter developers all the source, everything you need to do to actually enhance your Flutter development. You're gonna get it right here. And today we're actually going to be talking about file imports. Okay, and then I decided to address this issue because I've seen a lot of developers make not necessarily mistakes, but do it less efficiently. And so that's what we're going to get into today. Now, to start off the project, right, I'm going to be creating two models. We're not actually going to be building anything visual. Okay, so I'm going to create two directories. The first one is going to be named models, and the second one is going to be named screens. So as we would typically do, all the screens will go into the screens directory, and all the models would actually go into the models directory. Now I'm going to create two models. Okay, one for contacts and then one for countries. Okay, so let me go ahead. Contacts, I'm sorry, underscore model. Great. And I'm going to create another one. Countries, sorry, underscore model. Okay, now for the countries underscore model, I'm going to go ahead and create the class countries model. Yeah, I think that sounds fine. And then I'm going to declare two variables: a final string ID and then the final string name. And the reason why it's giving me this error is because the constructors are not created. So let me just create the constructor. Great, and that's it. Let me move into my contacts class. Contacts, yeah, similar thing. Contacts, maybe let me add a model. Yes, final string ID. Now let me teach you guys a hack right here. Okay, now instead of doing copy and paste or typing it all out, Android Studio gives you a shortcut. Okay, so now if I want to duplicate this, I can just do Control D, okay, as many times as I want to. Okay, and then I'm going to change this part. I'll make this name, I'll make this phone, and I'll make this email. Okay, so for the contacts, these are the variables I am declaring: a name, a phone, and email. These are essential for any contact application of a sort. Okay, so I'm going to create my constructors, of course. Right now, in my screens, let me just create one screen. Home underscore screens. Great. Let me import material, and like I aforementioned, we are not necessarily going to be doing anything graphical in here. I just want to show you a much more efficient way of actually doing your file imports. Okay, now let's just say I actually want to create say a list of all contacts, right? I'm going to delete this constructor for the meantime. Okay, and then I want to create another list of all countries. Okay, okay, let me make this contacts model. Great. Now let me import contacts model. And then this error, of course, is because of the constructor. So let me add probably final here. All right, let me add required. That means that basically what required means is that without it something's going to happen, so it's required, just like we would say in English. Now if I'm looking at these two files, you'd realize that to import these two models I've had to do two imports. So the first one here and then the second one here. Okay, so with this method or with this flow, it means that if I have 1,000 imports to do, I would have to import them one after another. And here's the hack for today. Okay, now instead of doing this one after the other, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead in the modules folder or the models folder and then create another models.dat. Okay, now in this models.dat, I'm not going to be creating any class. I am actually going to be exporting the models that have been created in the models directory. And the way to do this is this: export, okay, then you declare contacts model.dat. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and export countries as well, countries model. Yes, great. So here we have it. Okay, now let me go back to my screens, my home screen. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and then delete these imports, and of course that will throw an error, which we're seeing here. Now instead of importing the individual DAT files, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I right click it and I realize that it gives me the option to either import the contacts model.dat or I import model.dat. And why is that? Is because the exports for these files have been created in modules.dat, and so by referencing modules.dat, Flutter knows that okay, modules.dat is also referencing contacts models.dat, and that's how it works. So the exports allows you, so you realize here that after doing the modules.dat import, all the errors are cleared for both the contacts model and the countries model. And why is that? Because I've declared exports for both of them here. Okay, and there's a very efficient way to do this, because for example, okay, let me just create a new model. Okay, okay, I'm going to class homie model, right, and final string name. Okay, because my homie has to have a name. And then I'm going to go ahead and then create a constructor for this. Great, right? Now let me go into my home screen. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this as well, Control D, and then homie model. Okay, now I'm not going to click on it, else it'll import, and then I'm going to name this homies. Okay, great. Now here's the thing. Okay, right now if I want to import this homie model, okay, I'd have to import the individual file. Okay, but let me clear this import, right, and I'll add it to this models. So I'm going to export it here instead, homie model. Okay, great. Now you would realize that when we come back to the home screen, the error here has disappeared. Well, because the models.dat is actually showing the reference for the homie model, and this is a very efficient. Well, let me just, this is actually because I have to add the final field here, and then yes, required. Great. So this is actually a very efficient way of actually referencing files when you're actually doing Flutter, because all our models are here. And this is not just for models. You can do this for screens. If you have 1,000 screens and you don't want to reference them 1,000 times, you create a screens.dat, create exports for all those files. Once they are added in that export file, anytime you actually reference screens.dat, Flutter knows, okay, they are exports created for all these individual DAT files, in there, and it's a very efficient way. It keeps the code clean, it keeps the code less verbose, and you realize that I would have done 3 lines here of imports, but now I'm actually getting to do just one, and it works perfectly. So this is my Flutter hack for today. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Stay tuned, we have more coming your way. Bless up.